Kindly subscribe to YouTube channel and follow on Facebook page at Dr. Zabby's Talk Show.
It is important that these so-called Democrats understand this. When thousands of Nigerians die in hospital beds due to lack of electricity or lack of medication, it is a crime. They are responsible for these sanctions. They are responsible for these deaths. The same thing happens in Mali. With Burkina, we have indirect sanctions because people have to understand. When they take their orders from the other side, they come and do everything to apply it. It is shameful. We are called putschists. We are not French. We do not understand what that means. And the local people, who surely do not even understand the profound meaning of the word, also call us putschists. Very well, we appropriate it. Over the years, as far as Burkina Faso is concerned, you may have noticed all the bodies have been destructured. No more training, nothing left for the army. They imposed in all our major states, all our schools and all our strategic structures, what they called military councils. When we revolted on September 30th, 2022, the first thing was to find out who these military councils were and where they were. So we were able to identify that the evil was deep. And the first thing was to ask them to leave our army. They left. And what I told you not long ago, you cannot hope to find your lost object by calling on the one who stole it to come and help you find it.
Bí ẹṣin ńlá ṣe ń sáré ilé ayé tó, ó ní iye ọdún tẹ́ṣin ó ṣe nílé ayé. Bódòdó ti wulẹ̀ kó dáa kó lẹ́wà tó, ó ní iye ọjọ́ tí ó lò lókè èpẹ̀. Mọ́ríwó ọpẹ́ ìbá ti dójú ọ̀run, àsìkò náà ló sọ wọ́n dìgbágó. Ewé tó ti jọ́mùnú nígbà kan, mo ṣe béwé gbọ́jọ́ lórí ewé gbẹni. Àìmọye àwọn èèyàn tó ti gbélé ayé dára ńgbà kan, tí ò mọ̀ wípé ohun tí tán léégún ọdún. Àṣé gbogbo kìràkìtà ẹ̀dá lórí rárá lásán ni. Bí Sanyán ṣe gbayì tó ń gbà kan, kò sẹ́ni tó mọ̀ pé ń padà bọ̀ wá dìtàn. Ó rí, àwọn ilé ọlá ajó òní kò padà níyì mọ́ lójú ọmọ ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan. Ṣó wá rí, ìwọ aláṣọ àsìkò tí ń lo dáúlà lọ́wọ́, ẹ kú ìpalẹ̀mọ́ o. Màrìwò tí ń fìgbágó ṣẹ̀sín kó ṣèrántí pò náà ń bọ̀ wá dàrílẹ̀ he. Ó jẹ́ ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́, ìgbàlà á ní o, ẹnìkan ò lólé ayé gbó. Ńṣe ni ó béèrè lọ́wọ́ ọmọ olówó àná, kí ló sọ ilé ọlá bàbá ẹ̀ dahoro. Wò ó, ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́, arúgbó ṣogerí o, èkísà lò gbàrí. Ohun gbogbo ń padà bọ̀ wá dìtàn gbódọ̀là. Ṣé o rí gbogbo ohun tó ń lé tí ò fi ọlọ́kàn balẹ̀ yẹn? Gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá ni ó padà wá dìtàn. Títílọlá àtìyá Títílọlá, ẹ sọ fún wọn pé gbogbo rẹ̀ ò lọ títí o. Àlàbí aláṣẹ là ni. Káríra láyọ̀ o, ká pàdé níre, ká má dolódì lẹ́yìn ara wa. Ire o.
Ojú ọjọ́ ṣe rí, mo kí ẹ̀yin ìyá, mo kí ẹ̀yin bàbá, mo kí ẹ̀gbọ́n, mo kí àbúrò. Èmi ọmọ yín olólùfẹ́ yín, ayé ọpẹ́ yọ ṣe ọlọ́dọ̀ tí yín náà ní agbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run. Ayé ọpẹ́ máa yọ fún wa, nice weather. Now, àfìgbà tó kàn wọ́n, ó kan àwọn náà, but tó wà ń bẹ̀ ni wípé ọ̀n lè escape ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin Yorùbá ẹ gbóná. Ẹ̀yin Yorùbá ẹ yọ orúkú, ẹ̀yin Yorùbá ẹ gbóná, ẹ yọ orúkú. Pé kí ni? Kò sígbà tí pé ò ní ja ẹni tó bá dalẹ̀. Kò sígbà tí èpè ò ní ja ẹni tó bá dalẹ̀. Wọ́n ní ọ̀dàlẹ̀ baálẹ̀ kú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, ọ̀dàlẹ̀ baálẹ̀ kú. Ọ̀dàlẹ̀ baálẹ̀ kú, ẹni tó bá dalẹ̀ òun máa bálẹ̀ lọ ni. Mo gbà ní àdúrà wípé àwa ò ní rí ṣìṣe a ní rí dààmú tó máa mú wa dalẹ̀ lágbára lọ́wọ́ Elédùmarè. Now kó tó di wípé mo máa gbé fídíò náà wá wípé ọlẹ́ni tó bá wù bọ̀ oríṣi yọ wọ́n díẹ̀ náà. Àmọ́ nǹkan tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ ní next time àti mọ̀ nǹkan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ báwa ò róbìrò wọn o àárò kúrò wọn o kò yẹ yín sìn bọ ìyá mi wá mi ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àti àbúrò mi kó tó di wípé mo máa gbébi torí orí ló kàn kó wọn yọ báwo ni o bá ṣe rí náà ni o bá ṣe rí bọ̀ orí kó wọn yọ nínú eléyìí bọ́ àmọ́ tèyí tó túnbọ̀ èyí tó ń bọ̀ bóyá orí máa kó wọn yọ bóyá orí ò lè kó wọn yọ àwa ò mọ̀ àbí kò yẹ yín sìn àwa ò mọ̀ ìyẹn kan Ọlọ́run.
Entirely false, reckless, and without any factual foundation. Well, joining us now to discuss what happened in the state is Wilfred Olatokunbo Afolabi, who's the Commissioner of Police in Ondo State. Welcome to the morning show, Commissioner. Thank you for joining us here. If you could give us a comprehensive view of what actually happened so we can understand the situation we find ourselves in here today.
Thank you, and good morning. Yesterday, the First Lady was around, and she was received at Akure Airport. Unfortunately, I was among the officers that were at the airport to receive her, and I was equally also in the convoy that took her from the airport to the dome where she had her first event. After her convoy had passed, after the road closed, we heard of an unfortunate incident that a white Lexus Jeep hit a 10-year-old girl at Obale. The DPO drew my attention to that, and I went there in person. And while there, I met eyewitnesses and the relatives of the deceased. The eyewitnesses I met there confirmed that the vehicle wasn't in the First Lady's convoy, and that they even made efforts to pursue the white Lexus. But unfortunately, being a fast-moving vehicle, they could not catch up with him. And the relatives of the deceased had that. I commiserated with them and only told them that after the whole event, I'll be there to pay them condolence visit. That's exactly what happened. It was a big surprise to me when in the evening time, somebody sent some publications to me, revealing that one of the vehicles in the First Lady's convoy went out of its way to go and hit that innocent girl. That's blatant lie. I will even refer to it as a diabolical lie. Nothing like that happened. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner of Police. So what are some of the efforts that are being made to apprehend the owner or the driver of this vehicle that you have identified? Have you been able to identify the actual culprit? And what are the developments around that?
Thank you very much. On receipt of this information, and when it was communicated to me, we quickly went on the radio, relayed it to all our nipping points and other places where we have roadblocks. Like if they see any white Lexus Jeep with blood stains or maybe with dents in front, that the vehicle should be stopped and apprehended. But this I can confirm to you that up to this very moment, we have not yet gotten any result. But the assurance I can give you is that already the sketchy information we have, we are working on it. And I believe with God on our side, we'll get the culprits arrested.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, the same police that is always very quick to jump to conclusions and say, oh, this is what happened, is still looking for information, investigating, and all of that. In this particular case, under your watch. The report was that, oh, you are claiming that what was reported was false, was baseless, it's a fabrication. What exactly is false? What exactly is baseless? And what is the rule about convoy movement for the purpose of educating Nigerians? And what do you think could have really gone wrong? And then what is exactly the type of vehicle involved? Some reports say Hilux vehicle. You are using the word Jeep. There's a clear difference between Hilux and a Jeep. Is it that the Ondo State Police Command cannot even make up his mind the kind of vehicle involved in this incident?
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati, who I've followed for decades. And thank God I'm having the privilege of relating with you this morning. Every convoy has its own number. And the vehicles that are to be included in the convoy are determined, at least, by officials that comes from the presidential guide. And that was done. And in fact, I will even say I was fortunate that they allowed me to be in it. So all these things are well regulated. There is no way a vehicle like a Lexus Jeep would have been allowed, the private vehicle would have been allowed in that convoy. That convoy that I saw yesterday, the vehicle, if even the people who followed the First Lady entered into a bus. From Abuja, they were in the bus. From Abuja, they were in the bus. In that convoy, it wasn't much. And the vehicles were selected. And I can give it to you authoritatively, Dr. Abati, that there was no Lexus Jeep in that convoy. And the good thing there is that we had road open, road closed. And you know what that implied. So the road closed have passed before this incident occurred. And any other vehicle coming at the back, it is assumed that is not part of the First Lady's convoy. And about the issue of Hilux, white Hilux, see, Dr. Abati, in the morning of yesterday, I had to correct a journalist who went out of his way without verifying information. I went and published it. It was a case of kidnapping. The kidnapping did not take place in Ondo State. It took place in Edo State. But because of this idea of not verifying information, he went and put Ofusu, Ondo, whereas the incident did not happen in my state. And it's that same journalist who published this thing. So what I'm just trying to say is that when journalists don't verify issues, they put a question mark on whatever it is they're publicizing.
Okay, so
I don't know how to say it again.
While
believe me, because
while we have you on the line, I think it would be a great opportunity for us to verify a few things. Of course, just a couple of weeks ago, there were some protests held in Ondo State, in Akure. There were some groups that even carried bodies of deceased people to Government House, protesting insecurity in the state. What's the current security situation like in Ondo State?
Thank you very much. I cannot deny the fact that we've had our own fair share of security challenges. Like when I reported we had the war crisis. But anybody from that axis will tell you that, yeah, there was a crisis, but many of the boys who perpetrated that act, many of them were arrested. And in the course of arresting them, we made a recovery of many firearms. And today now, always calm. Also, kidnapping too was a very serious challenge. But the good thing there is that from January 2025 to March 2025, at least we arrested many kidnappers, we screened them, and at least those with overwhelming evidences of their involvement in kidnapping, or those that we were able to establish a prima facie case of kidnapping against them, were 20. 14 have been charged to court, while the other ones, we retained them because we still need them to provide other evidences that we have, in getting orders. So no one is denying the fact that we've had our own fair share of challenges as they pertain to kidnapping, but it's a big feat if at least we can boast of having arrested 20 confirmed kidnappers. And the exercise is still on. Well, I want to, at the same time, thank the IG, because he really showed much concern. He brought a drone. The governor, so I really need to thank him.
CP.
And that's what God is telling our Father in the Lord. If you decide to vote, if Tinubu wins, all of you are going into jail. That is God has spoken.
bí mo ṣe ń sọ yìí náà ni kẹ́ ṣe jù live
Just let it go live. Let it go live as spoken.
bí mo ṣe ń sọ yìí.
Just the way I've said it.
yẹn sọ lóyìnbó kọ́ lè mọ̀ pé mo mọ̀ nǹkan tí mò ń
Let me
sọ.
say it in English so that they will
sọ
understand.
Yorùbá ẹ̀ kí mo sọ Yorùbá ẹ̀.
Okay, sir.
If Nigerians vote for APC,
Orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tó bá dìbò fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú
Nigeria will
APC.
sink.
Kódà
We
Nàìjíríà yóò wọ inú
will
ìrà.
swindle in poverty,
A ó
and
bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní
the
wẹ̀
economy
nínú òṣì.
will be in shambles.
Kódà ọrọ̀ ajé wa yóò lọlẹ̀ sí i.
If the government of APC continues,
Tí ìjọba APC bá tẹ̀síwájú.
Nigeria will suffer extraordinary.
Kódà ìyà orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà yóò wà ní ìlọ́po
I'm not
ìlọ́po.
in support of anybody.
Mi ò tiẹ̀ fọwọ́ tẹ ẹnikẹ́ni
As
lẹ́yìn.
a matter of fact, I don't vote,
Kódà mi ò tiẹ̀ ń dìbò.
and I will never vote.
Kódà mi ò tí gbà kan ní dìbò.
I am telling you that
Mo ń sọ fún un pé
we have never seen Archie before.
a ò tiẹ̀ tí ì ní ìnira tó.
Then this is when we now experience more Archie.
Kódà aṣẹ̀wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìnira ni.
We will be sick, the economy will be sick.
Kódà àṣàrẹ̀ ọjọ́ ajé wa náà yóò ṣòjòjò.
I'm not saying anybody should like.
bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni wọ́n mà ti ń ṣèpolówó kí ni mo wá fẹ́ lò ń bẹ̀ ni wípé àwọn tó ń fúlò àwọn tó ti kó ìfun wọn lọ àwọn afọ́fúngbẹ́mu àwọn afọ́fúngbẹ́jẹ̀gàn pàápàá gan ẹ̀yin fẹ́ vote ẹ̀ ní ìdá ti vote ó ní ẹ dìbò a máa wọlé a dẹ̀ ti wọlé yà debate kan ni mo rí tí mo wá fẹ́ jẹ́ ká jọ gbéyẹ̀wò ká jọ wò ni wípé kí ló sọ nínú debate yẹn it's not debate wọ́n ti ń campaign ni wípé ṣé káwọn support lágbára tàbí káwọn má support Ahmed bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wípé a máa support bàbá wa Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu torí pé ibi tó ṣe dé kó lè parí iṣẹ́ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí Ọlọ́run mo fọlọ́run bẹ̀ gbogbo wa àwọn pípù yìí a mọ̀ wípé èpè ń jà wọ́n náà a mọ̀ wípé ó ń sà sí wọn a mọ̀ wípé ìdààmú máa dé bá wọn gẹ́gẹ́ bọ́n ṣe ń fún aráàlú ní ìdààmú bó kí ni mo fẹ́ fàyọ ń bẹ̀ ni wípé nǹkan tí àwọn tàná sọ òun náà lélẹ́yìí wípé ẹ dìbò fún wọn ibi tán bá iṣẹ́ yẹn dé iṣẹ́ kankan ò lè bá débì kankan nílùú Nàìjíríà yìí torí wípé kí ni ìgboro ti dàrú gbogbo ẹ ti fọ́ pátápátá bó ṣe lè kò sí bó ṣe lè hùn kó mọ́ kò sí bó ṣe lè ṣe kò lè dá mọ́ èpè kọ́ o bọ́ orí kó wọn yọ báwo ni ò bá ṣe rí gbogbo ayé ni ò bá gbé wípé yes ó kàn yín tàbí ó kàn yín gbogbo yín pátápátá ló máa kàn ṣáwọn olórí yín sì lélẹ́yìn sìn bọ́n escape on escape ó dẹ̀ dùn mí gan ni mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tẹ́yìn náà bá wo fídíò yẹn ó máa dùn ẹ̀yin gan náà gan ni pé wọ́n ní finá jóra ẹ̀ wò kó tó tún fi jó ọmọ ẹlòmíì bọ̀ mo mọ̀ pé lọ́ọ́ máa jẹ́ ń bẹ̀ ó ń ṣọmọ olókùú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ò bọ́ a ní sí pẹ̀lú òkú ẹ̀.
To what's trending today, we will tackle stories around security, perhaps dabble into some entertainment, but also the cost of humility. We begin in the FCT, where President Bola Tinubu has returned after an 18-day working visit and retreat in France and London. The presidential 001 aircraft touched down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in the FCT at 9:50 p.m. on Monday, according to the State Media House office. The president was received by his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akome, and other top officials. Let's take a look. Now, the president's arrival follows the worsening insecurity in parts of the country, in several parts of the country, including states like Plateau and Benue. Christians under the aegis of the Church Leaders Denominational Forum across Plateau State on Easter Monday protested in Jos, the state's capital, over the recent killings in Bokos and Bassa local government areas, which claimed about 100 lives and led to the destruction of a lot of property. In a video now making rounds on social media, Plateau Christian women were seen chanting, "We need peace." Let's take a look. Now, before we get into the conversation, we should talk about the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Kuka, who has raised concerns over Nigeria's worsening security crisis, saying that the country is turning into a national morgue. And I would like to just halt on that note and bring this conversation to the fore right now. This video completely broke my heart, because I keep asking the question, is insecurity a priority for our leaders? Is it a priority? Because whatever needs to be said has been said. Whoever needs to be called on has been called on. But for some reason, it keeps falling on deaf ears, and we keep saying the same thing every time.
Okay, I said earlier that many Nigerians will be delighted that President Tinubu is back in the country. Mm-hmm. He had been away for almost more than 2 weeks. We were told he was on working visit to France, and then he showed up in London. We're still insisting. I repeat the point I made originally about transparency and accountability. What did he do while on that working visit? He had a meeting with a junior official from the United States, but are there other details that Nigerians would like to know? But beyond all of that, Nigerians are concerned because they want their president to be around, because he's the man who leads, he's the man who has the authority, particularly when he stays within the threshold of the Constitution and he doesn't exceed 21 days. So he will not have any compulsion, to hand over to the vice president. But even then, maybe the vice president should have played a more central role. Now that he has returned, there are issues that are on the table. Insecurity is number one. There are Nigerians who are saying that the president of Nigeria should declare a state of emergency on insecurity, because we have had a resurgence in Borno State, in Benue, in Plateau. We have women, offering prayers. We have the elite, among us, also, expressing a lot of concern. So insecurity is a major thing that he needs to deal with. It's number one, so that people can have confidence, their trust in government can be rebuilt, and then they can know that this is beyond politics, and that government is committed to its responsibility under Section 14, sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution, which says the primary responsibility of the Nigerian government shall be the security and welfare of the Nigerian people. The other issues that you will have to deal with is the economy. The economy is floundering in the context of global uncertainty. Revenue may be a problem. Oil prices are going down. The dollar is in a very bad place.
As you can see, Toge ti wá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ o. Wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gba owó. Bọ̀bá ọ̀la ẹ fẹ́ ṣe. Àwa tá ń gbèrò bọ̀ láti Ẹ̀pẹ́ tí ò ṣèrò nu mọ́tò tó yẹ pé èèyàn mẹ́rin péré la rí. Èèyàn mẹ́rin 4 passenger tó yẹ pé 3,002, which is 800 per passenger. Káwá débi kọ́ wọ́n ṣe pé 1,000 la máa san. 1,000. Kẹ́ máa wò 1,000 per trip. Ó ń lọ, ó ń bọ̀, 1,000 bí 1,000 lọ́hùn, 1,000 bí 1,000 lọ́hùn. Ṣáwọn bíbú yìí fẹ́ ká ṣe rere báyìí, ṣọ́ fẹ́ ká jẹun báyìí. Torí ó lọ fà mi understand rárá. Kí ló fẹ́ fún wa báyìí? Fún wa ń ṣẹ́, kò sí nǹkan gidi. Epo wọn gbogbo ẹ̀ṣin kìíní Tógè tẹ́tú ṣe síbí. Ẹ tún gba 1,000 per trip lórí mọ́tò tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ láti hustle fi jẹun. Epo ti pa wá already. Kí ló tún wá kù báyìí?
Eating disruptions across the world. And then number 3, as I pointed out earlier on this same program, there are issues within his own party, with some people saying they are leaving the party, some people saying they will stay within the party, a lot of confusion. And then persons like Waziri Adamawa and Mr. Peter Obi and Malam Nasir El-Rufai saying they will form a coalition to get him out of government in 2027. So now is the time for the president to sit down and take even a second look at his team and make sure that all hands are on deck. But he's a politician. Politicians are always interested in their own survival. So I just make the point to draw attention to these major issues about his own survival. I'm sure you will understand that. But the one that concerns us is about our security, welfare, and the challenges of togetherness in Nigeria.
Absolutely. Bye.
Well, in the 19 days that the president spent out of the country, 120 people are reported to have died from the various spates of insecurity bedeviling various parts of the country. That's 120 too many. But what does a vacuum in leadership cause? It creates room for other people to come and start chiming in possible solutions that may not be the way forward. We saw the video that was trending of the former Minister of Defense, T.Y. Danjuma, saying that people should carry arms and defend themselves. Mm-hmm. And you can't blame him for saying that, because where are the government structures? Where is the state? Where is the state security architecture that is supposed to step in at this point? So people are feeling helpless, but we know that this self-help is not the answer. Because if you look at what happened in Uromi, that was the result of self-help. It's a recipe for anarchy. You also have some presidential advisors, I believe it was Daniel Bwala, who was saying that, well, you know, the governors need to do more in terms of making use of their security votes to secure their states. Meanwhile, the president was saying that, well, governors, specifically for Plateau State, the governor should go into the community and do more community healing. Well, all of these different solutions have their own merits and demerits, but ultimately, the one thing that stands out is the vacuum that is created when there isn't decisive strategy. There isn't a decisive methodology in which we've decided that, okay, this is how we're going to tackle this. If you look at the international headlines around the insecurity that took place in April, the headlines were shameful. They were sad to see, and you know, once it gets onto the international stage, it also gets fueled by their own narrative, and it made it seem as though Christians cannot walk freely in Nigeria, which we know is far from the truth. But this is what happens when we're not home to tackle our issues, tackle these challenges. This is a 2-decade-old problem. Unfortunately, it is cropping itself up again. The governor seems to have answers. He seems to know why it's recurring. The community seem to know why it's recurring. So where is the decisive strategy for us to say, okay, this is the kinetic, non-kinetic, you know, all the strategies we always say we like to use. Where is that? And while we're waiting for that, let's put a human face to this. Earlier in the show, when we were talking about the Pope, I said the image that sticks with me about the Pope is when he kissed the feet of the president of South Sudan at the time when there was civil war and there were issues around coups and so forth. And nobody's asking the president to kiss anybody's feet. But I'm just saying that show of leadership that says, I'm with you, I feel your pain, I cry with you, and I hope we'll be able to see the president commiserating with these communities very soon. As we've seen, the Minister of Defense has done, a number of notable individuals have done so, but now let us fill that vacuum, that void of leadership with some decisive action.
I like that you brought up the fact that this is not just a now problem. This has been going on for years. And it's not issues that we do not already know, whether it's the farmer header crisis, whether it's the militant groups or it's Boko Haram. These are issues that have been identified, but where is the decisive action?
Well, I think that's the question now. So I think just looking ahead, being that the president has now returned, what we need to shift our focus on is now that he is back, what can we expect? What is he going to do? Because I do think, to answer the question you mentioned earlier, I do think that insecurity is a priority to the president. I truly do. I can't imagine that any leader of a country would not be concerned that his people are dying. So I do think that this is a huge priority for him. Where the mistake is that sometimes these decisions would paint a different picture. But I do think that him making sure that the safeguarding of his people is his first and foremost priority. I do believe that. And I think that naturally as people, we have to have some form of belief in our leadership. What he needs to shift focus on now is really making sure that the people believe that. And we speak so much about 2027 and about his re-election or who will come out as the coalition against him. It just feels so distasteful when we spend so much time talking about politics. And that's a criticism of the presidency too, that we really need to focus on the issues of the day-to-day, which is insecurity, and making sure that you are doing something to put a face to these concerns. Ultimately, when people are going through any type of hardship, what they want to know is that they are being cared for, that their plight is being recognized. And I think a way that the president can do that is actually showing his face in these communities. And we hope that eventually he will do that.
Eventually, Bill, speaking about paying so much attention to the politics, let's take another story that definitely has gotten a lot of attention. The governor of Akwa Ibom, Ondo, has reaffirmed that his support for President Bola Tinubu's second term is intentional and not a betrayal of his political party. Last week, Ondo, a member of the People's Democratic Party, declared that Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress will complete an 8-year tenure. Speaking at a rally in Ikot Ekpene local government area, the governor said his decision is rooted in sincerity and will be explained in due time. Let's take a look at that.
We have moved beyond party lines. We now have unity government, whether from PDP and APC. And that's why each time we have the privilege of coming together, we are showing an example to Nigeria that we need to work together. We need to respect what and who God has honored so that people will also respect you. Me, I'm supporting Baba Bola Ahmed Tinubu for second term so that he can complete what he has started. You will see what he is doing for our state, and you will know why we should not go elsewhere.
Now, in the spirit of the story, and obviously the governor's a pastor, so I believe he will be very apt to say that he is very much aware of certain verses in the Bible. I'm just going to mention two of them. The first being that you cannot serve two masters at one time. You must either love one and hate the other. The second being a house divided against itself cannot stand. Looking at these two verses, I'm trying to understand when he says, I'm doing this in all security. I think would it be safe to then say that this is officially the governor saying, I have no faith in the party that put me here. He also mentioned Akpabio, reaffirming that he will equally get a second term, that is, the governor will get a second term. So he's basically telling us that he doesn't believe in this party anymore, and this is where he stands. It will be safe to believe that, Dr. Abati. What would you say to that?
Oh, okay. you recall that PDP governors, they met recently. I think this was in Oyo State.
Yes.
Gbogbo wọn pátápátá ló máa jẹ nínú ìyà yẹn lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run torí wípé kíni ìdààmú yìí pọ̀, ìyà yìí pọ̀, fìtínátì yìí náà ó pọ̀. Báwo ni ò bá ṣe rí tó bá jẹ́ pé pápẹ́ ó mú wọn lónìí gágá, but orí ló yọ wọn, ẹsẹ̀ lè máa yọ wọn ní ọjọ́ mi. Ìyá mi wá mi, ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àti àbúrò mi.
All right, so the news says the State House has allocated the sum of 10 billion naira in the 2025 approved budget for the installation of solar mini grid at the presidential villa. Before I say anything, let's quickly watch this video.
Whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity, and you will not pay for estimated bill anymore. A promise made will be a promise kept. If I can't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me. That's the truth.
President don't say whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity. Don't go buy solar with 10 billion. Oh boy, APC will never cease to amaze me. See this Tinubu regime, they don't go cease, they don't get shame. Like they have no shame, bro. Whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity and you will not pay. You don't go buy solar now to power presidential villa. No shame. No shame. You know the shameless thing that this government do, especially the presidency, is to leave Nigeria. I always sit down to understand why the president must do this. You go leave Nigeria, go outside country, go treat yourself. Do you know it will make more sense if they say President Bola Ahmed Tinubu flew in his doctors to Nigeria to come and treat him than when they say the president is going to France or any other part of the world to go and treat himself? It's an embarrassment to Nigeria. Meanwhile, Nigerian doctors are leaving Nigeria every day to go and become best doctors in England, to go and become best doctors in America. If American doctors decide to leave outside country today, say they won't go, the medical institution for the US and the UK will collapse. And our own president, they go outside. You know why? Because there is no welfare for doctors. There's no welfare for them. So anytime I see news say the president is leaving Nigeria, I always ask myself, like, does these people don't have shame? A whole country like Nigeria, bro. Anyways, let's go back to life. So what encouragement are you giving to the people if you as a president don't use 10 billion naira, bro, take buy solar? Where are you people buying the solar from? Who is supplying you people this solar? Do you understand? I want to challenge you people now. Don't give me 10 billion. 10 billion is too much. I will bring solar for you. And we'll do it for... Give us 5 billion. Give me 5 billion. Hold me like this. We go sign agreement. Let me do solar. I don't talk Bilolia. 10 billion to put solar for presidential villa. Now, if you want roof, maybe you want even roof you Abuja safe. Maybe you want roof you Abuja. 10 billion to do solar. That's even a shame. Oh God. The no guy want to think this matter. This will not be shame. Person will promise. Anyways, you heard what he said, that if he does not give us electricity in 3 years, I mean his first year, that we should not vote him for 2027. So this one it will automatically scatter his bid. So just in case I start to the campaign against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's not coming from a place of campaign or partisan or political this, no. It is coming from a point of what he said. It is a promise. He said if he does not give us power in the next years when he's in power, now we should not vote him again in 2027. So we'll go follow what he talk. May God help us. We don't learn, and we don't learn the hard way. Don't play.
tó ìbá ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ẹlẹ́ni tó bá béèrè ọ̀nà ní kì í ṣìnà àbí ẹ mú gbàgbọ́ ó kàn jẹ́ pé bóyá kò ṣẹlẹ̀ sí yín rí èmi ti béèrè ọ̀nà rí tí mo ṣìnà ńjọ́ mo béèrè lọ́wọ́ àbókí mo kò mú sí mò ń lọ lẹ́kí phase 1 mo fẹ́ lọ kí èèyàn ní fúngbà àkọ́kọ́ mbébà tí wọ́n wá kọ bí màá ṣe rìn sí eléyìí ò ti jábọ́ lọ́wọ́ mi nínú ọkọ̀ mo bá dé lẹ́kí mo rí áùdù níbi tó ti ń ta kúlíkúlí rònà mo bá lọ bá ǹjẹ́ ọkọ ìyá mi dákun mi báyìí mò ń lọ o sẹ́ẹ̀rẹ́ èbò tó kọ́ jáde lẹ́nu rẹ̀ eléyìí ò ń dà mí lórí rú àmọ́ ń gbó ká pò pọ̀ báyìí kàṣà báyìí káwòdì mo bá rìn kí bí orí tí wọ́n gbáǹgì bí òkú tí òdò gbà sọ ọgbẹ́lọgbẹ́ ọlọ́run gbò yá torí pé ìyá ìpọ̀ lọ́wọ́ arìn ẹnìkan sí mi lọ́wọ́ sọ báyìí mọ̀ ní bàárìn ìsúlẹ̀ ọjọ́ náà ní ẹ̀jẹ̀ adádúró ń bẹ̀. láìpẹ́ mo sọ lórí òrìṣà ńlẹ̀ Yorùbá tí mo ní Yorùbá ò gbàgbọ́ pé òrìṣà jẹ́ Ọlọ́run àti pẹ̀lú pé èèyàn ní tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ńlẹ́nìkan wá kàn sí mi pé ó dáa bó bá jẹ́ pé Yorùbá ò gbàgbọ́ pé òrìṣà jẹ́ Ọlọ́run kí ló wá fà tó jẹ́ pé tí wọ́n bá ń sọdún àwọn òòṣà yìí ńgbà míì àwọn èèyàn mọ̀ ní olúwa mi wọ́n mọ̀ pé wọ́n lólúwa eléyìí ò ń pa mí lẹ́rìn pé ṣé eléyìí ò ní ọmọ kéré ẹ ti ẹ̀já wo àwọn okọ tí Yorùbá ń pe Ọlọ́run gan àti ìtumọ̀ wọn. alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ Olódùmarè tá à ń pe Ọlọ́run kí leléyìí òun kí ni ìtumọ̀ rẹ̀ èyí ò ní pé ẹni tó ní odù tí kì í rè èyí ò odù tí kì í tán kí ló dù odù ọ̀nà méjì ló pín sí ó lè jẹ́ ìkòkò ńlá rẹ̀bẹ̀tẹ̀ àbí kó jẹ́ nǹkan tí wọ́n kójọ tó pọ̀ ṣé mọ̀ pé béèyàn bá ń tayọ̀ ọlọ́pọ́n wa mọ́ ni ó ti kó odù ní tí wọ́n wá ń wí ni pé ẹni tó ní odù tí kì í tán èyí ò ní pé bá a múnú rẹ̀ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ àbùbù tán ni ní èèbó wọn á ní all sufficient God ìtumọ̀ Olódùmarè lélẹ́yìí àtúmọ̀ jẹ́ Elédùwà odù ń bẹ náà àmọ́ odù eléyìí kòkò ńlá àbí ìsun the source of èyí ò ní pé ẹni tó ní odù ìwà ṣe wá rí ìwà tá a wà ń wí eléyìí ò ń ṣe character kì í sì ṣe behaviour but existence èyí ò ní pé ẹni tó ní odù bí gbogbo wa ṣe wà bá a ṣe délé ayé the source of our existence òun ni Elédùwà mẹ́bẹ́ ẹ̀ mọ́ Ọlọ́run eléyìí ń kúkú rọrùn the owner of the heavens ni ẹni tó ní ọ̀run kí wàá lolúwa olúwa kéré Yorùbá ò ń pe Ọlọ́run ní olúwa ẹni ẹnikẹ́ni téèyàn bá ní bọ̀wọ̀ fún ìyàwó a máa pọkọ rẹ̀ ní olúwa ṣé bí ìyàwó bá wá pọkọ lólúwa ṣé léyìí ń túmọ̀ sí pé ń pọkọ rẹ̀ lọ́lọ́run ni bàbá ń pe àwọn òòṣà lólúwa a kàn ń tẹríba fún wọn ní àníbọ̀wọ̀ fún ni ẹ̀yin ẹ wò ẹrú a máa ń pe ọ̀gá rẹ̀ lólúwa master lólúwa kò ju bá ń lọ ẹ wò bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ràn fọ́nrán mi ẹ bá ń tarí rẹ̀ sẹ́lómi èyí ni pé ẹ bá ń share àbí kẹ́ ẹ repost àkó àsìkò yìí.
níbo ni àwa dúró sí kí ló jẹ àwa lógún kí ló jẹ wá lógún kan tó jẹ wá lógún kò ju wípé kò sí bó ṣe lè ṣe kò sí ọ̀nà tán lè gbé gbà bí òun ṣe wípé kí ni ká kúrò nínú oko ẹrú yìí àwọn èèyàn ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ sókè wọ́n ní Yorùbá lọ̀tá Yorùbá kọ́ ni ọ̀tá Yorùbá o Yorùbá nìkan kọ́ lọ̀tá Yorùbá gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe máa ń sọ ó dìgbà tí èmi àti yín tá bá jọ fi ọwọ́ wẹ ọwọ́ tá bá jọ reason bákan náà tá bá jọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe think Yorùbá first òun nìkan lọ́rọ̀ lẹ̀ yìí la lè fi escape òun nìkan la lè tètè fi kúrò nínú oko ẹrú yìí think Yorùbá first him Taure a máa ṣe yẹn lọ́tọ̀ ni a máa gbé yẹn wá lọ́tọ̀ but mo mọ̀ pé lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run a máa borí ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ má jẹ́ ká mi kàn ìgbà wo ló máa jẹ́ èmi ò mọ̀ àkókò wo ni èmi ò mọ̀ aago mélòó ni èmi ò mọ̀ bọ̀ kí ni mo mọ̀ ni wípé mo mọ̀ wípé a máa kúrò nínú oko ẹrú but action la fẹ́ kíní kan yẹn Rome is not built in a day ọ̀n lẹ́ni tí ò bá tó ní náà tó bá ń dènà dé ni àjẹkùnyà ló máa jẹ ẹ má jẹ́ ká tún jẹ àjẹkùnyà ẹ jẹ́ ká lo kíní yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe kíni ẹ jẹ́ ká lo kíní yìí torí ẹ̀yà bàbá mi ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àtàbúrò mi gbogbo àwọn ọmọ wa àwọn àbúrò wa àwọn tó ń jínsìn tó ń kéde tó ń lọgun wípé ilé ti tó lọ ilẹ̀ wa òun làwọn pípù yìí fẹ́ wá gbà history ló fẹ́ repeat ara ẹ̀ yìí ilẹ̀ wa òun ló fẹ́ wá gbà ẹ má jẹ́ ká wò wọ́n ẹ má jẹ́ ká máa rò gẹ́gẹ́ bíi pé àwọn eléyìí wọ́n fi wá dógun sílẹ̀ ni àwọn eléyìí àwọn fẹ́ wá bá wa jà àwọn ti rẹ́dì láti gbé ogun wá àwọn kan wá sọ pé wọ́n fẹ́ dógun no àwọn eléyìí rẹ́dì láti pa everybody láti gba ilẹ̀ wa àríró eléyìí rí afíndẹ̀rùbọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ ni ó wà nínú Kúránì ó wà nínú Báíbù ó wà kákàkiri wípé ó ń gbalẹ̀ ilẹ̀ máa ń di ìtàn àwọn tó nílẹ̀ ó máa ń di ìtàn èrè tó kó sí wọn nínú tó gbé wọn dìde ìyá mi bá mi ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àtàbúrò mi ẹ jẹ́ ká tì wọ́n lẹ́yìn ẹ jẹ́ ká kún wọn lọ́wọ́ ọ̀n béèrè owó ọ̀n béèrè obì bọ̀ ẹ má kàn jẹ́ ká máa wò wípé gẹ́gẹ́ bíi wípé ọmọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe ọmọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe mo mọ̀ pé tá a bá jókòó tá a bá gbé làákàyè kalẹ̀ tá a bá reason gbogbo nǹkan táwọn pípọ̀ yìí tó ń ṣe ó mú proof wá ni kò sí fídíò wọn tí mo fẹ́ lò nínú ilé bọ́ eléyìí kàn jẹ́ bíi ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ lórí àwọn program tí mò ń gbé wá lẹ́nu ijọ́ mẹ́ta yìí kẹ́ lè mọ̀ wípé lára ìjà lẹ́yìn wà èèyàn kan ló máa la oko igba èèyàn ló máa rin inú ẹ̀ òun ló fa irú nǹkan tí bàbá wa Chief Sunday Igboho àti bàbá wa Akíntóyè tán ṣe àwọn ńlá ọ̀nà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní pé àwọn èèyàn ẹ jí ẹ má sùn ẹ jẹ́ ká gbalẹ̀ wa bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni àwọn ọ̀dọ́ tó ń dìde ń sìn tó ń kéde wípé àlọ́ fẹ́ fi ẹ̀sìn yìí wọ́n fẹ́ fi wá pa gbogbo wa ni wọ́n fẹ́ fi gbalẹ̀ wa ni wọ́n fẹ́ fi ṣe nǹkan àìdá fún wa ni ìyá mi bá mi ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àti àbúrò mi bíbá ẹni máa dúró sí ní ọjọ́ títí òní mo kí wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pa kó ojú ọjọ́ ṣe rí mo kẹ́yìn ìyá mo kẹ́yìn bàbá mo kí ẹ̀gbọ́n mo kí àbúrò èmi ọmọ yẹn olólùfẹ́ yín àyè ọpẹ́yọ ṣíṣe ọlọ́dọ̀ títí yín náà ẹ má gbàgbé láti bá wa láìkẹ́ kó ná yín ní nǹkan kan ara ọ̀nà tẹ́yìn náà lè gbà láti fi ṣe ìrànlọ́wọ́ fún wa nìyẹn ẹ bá wa láìkẹ́ tẹ́ bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí ẹ bá wa share fáwọn olólùfẹ́ yín kẹ́dẹ̀ bá wa fi kọ́mẹ̀ǹtì náà sílẹ̀ ara àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè fi ràn wá lọ́wọ́ nìyẹn mo gbà ní àdúrà wípé a ní ṣe àṣetì lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run ṣé rí gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń ṣe yìí ara ìjàlẹ̀ yín wà a máa débẹ̀ ó ń ṣọmọ olókùú bẹ́ẹ̀ nìṣẹ́ a ní sí pẹ̀lú okùn ẹ̀bọ àkókò wo ni ìgbà wo ni aago wo ni oṣù wo ni ọdún wo ni èmi ò mọ bọ́ kí ni mo mọ̀ wípé a máa kúrò nínú oko ẹrú bó ṣe lè hùn kó mọ̀ lágbára lọ́wọ́ Elédùmarè lágbára gbogbo àwọn tó ń pa nípa ìyà lágbára gbogbo àwọn tí ó ń ta ẹ̀jẹ̀ wọn sílẹ̀ ní ọ̀nà tí ò tọ́ àwa máa rí tiwa ṣe àwa máa kúrò nínú oko ẹrú lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run. God bless you. One love. Bye for now.